Welcome to Sight Firearms Training Institute, located just outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Brad Ackman, and I am your Director of Training. We are the dominant force in personal protection and self-defense.
My name is Jessica. I'm a bookkeeper from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I first sought training at Sight as a direct result of my husband seeing an ad for Sight in a firearms magazine and suggesting we use that as our vacation that year to come out here and get some training. What led up to that is me starting with just an incredible fear of firearms, based mostly on not understanding how they work, just knowing that they were loud and hurt people. It got to the point where when I had my kids, my son was, I think he was 4, maybe 4 or 5, starting to do with that thing that little boys just do naturally, run around, make finger guns, you know, cops and robbers, that kind of thing. And I wouldn't let him make a finger gun. I would tell him no, and he would look at me, you know, wondering what in the heck about what he was doing was wrong when it was just coming so naturally to him to stop the bad guys. I had a job where I had to travel 8 hours in the car by myself from home to the work location and then back a few days later. One of those trips was made during a really bad ice storm, and the roads were just deserted. It was probably 4 hours that I was driving along at 35 miles an hour on this ice-covered road without seeing another car in sight. And that kind of started scaring me, because if something did happen, my answer that somebody else would be along to help me wasn't going to fly in that situation. End result of that is I said I need to get a CCW, a concealed carry permit. So I went and took the class. My husband taught me enough about shooting to pass the qualification test for that state that I was living in, and I carried a gun in my purse for the next 6 months. Now we're up to the point where my husband saw the ad for Sight in a magazine, came out here. You know, the idea was to get me some training on my gun, but I already knew how to shoot it, so that was no big deal. Well, by the end of my first day in the first 4-day defensive handgun class, I was forced to deal with that issue of that I had been just putting off for all those years. You know, once they got to the correct grip and everything, I could not press the trigger on the gun that I had been carrying in my purse to protect myself if necessary for the last 6 months or so. So that was a sobering thought. We'll fast forward again. By the end of the 4-day class, I was ready to come back for more. I knew that I still needed a lot of practice, but I knew that I wanted to do it. And now that I understood how firearms worked and that they were a tool that I could use instead of something to be afraid of, that was the turning point for me. I was ready to go. My experience at Sight thus far has been profound. My first class was a complete life changer for me. I started the class not knowing what to expect. I ended the first day in tears, to be honest with you. The gun I had brought, it was too hard, you know, it was just everything, and I was overwhelmed. By the end of the second day, I had gotten a little more comfortable with it, and by the end of the 4th day, I was sorry that that was the 4th day. I was ready to just stay and stay and stay and do more and more. I left. In that 4 days, I gained the sense of self-confidence that I did not know that I didn't have. It's amazing what taking responsibility for yourself and for your own life, it's amazing the feeling of empowerment that comes with that. I'm not saying that I left that 4 days with, you know, extreme ninja skills and be able to handle any encounter I may have, but I left that 4-day class knowing that I could learn, knowing that I could do it if I had to. So it was, in a word, it was just life-changing. When I return home from Sight, what I would probably tell my friends and family is, you guys have these guns at home already. They're in your nightstand, they're, you know, on top of the bookcase, they're in the gun safe, you have them already. And there's a good chance that you have them loaded already, ready to use if you need them. What I would tell them is, you guys, you don't know what you don't know until you come out here and train. You think if you have the gun, that's enough to protect you. You think you can place your finger on the trigger and press it. You think, well, that's all I need to do. But there's so much more to it. There's so much more to it even besides just the shooting skills. There's what to have in your mind. There's the way to look at the world now, as far as what would I need to do and could I do it if I had to. So you have the guns already. It's not enough to just own them. Come out here and get trained. For my friends and family that would question why this would even be necessary, read the news. It happens every day to people who think it would never happen to them. So whether everybody wants to admit it or not, we live in a world that can be dangerous, and we live in a world where people are not always nice to each other. So this is necessary, knowing how to protect yourself and your family, your kids. I have 2 kids of my own. I'm comfortable now knowing that they are not at the mercy of every predator that's out there. As long as I'm there, that predator is going to have to work pretty darn hard to get to my kids. If I bumped into Dr. Piazza on the street, I would shake his hand and say, thank you for this idea, thank you for this place where we can come and be safely trained, incredibly safely trained, with staff that know what they're doing. They're not military, they don't yell at you and are condescending and everything. They want you to be safe and want you to be trained, and it's fun. You learn a lot and it's fun. So I would tell him thank you and keep it up. If I had a national television audience that I had the chance to say something to, I would say our Second Amendment rights are being challenged every day. And it's up to us. Again, take responsibility for yourself and your family. That's where the change starts.
Thank you for watching. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google+. And you can find those links below. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay current on your training and the latest developments at Front Sight.